So Sameer, would like to know a brief about Supermorpheus community and how you are building it as a support pillar for founders.
So, so Supermorpheus basically is sort of a extension of our previous journey. In fact, I would say two journeys, which I have been and my co-founders have been on that. These two sort of came together to create Supermorpheus. So I think it's important to briefly talk about them. So first was a journey of building Morpheus, which was we started as India's first startup. I mean, it was a very accidental process, but it did become the first accelerator in India back in 2008. Early 2008 is when we started, and as we were working with many startups at the same time, it used to be a cohort-based system. Later in 2008, we had this realization that if me and Nandini, who were the two partners in Morpheus at that time, if we were the only two people talking to all founders, we will be running out of time and knowledge both. Yeah. But it was very obvious to us after our interaction with founder that each founder carried a certain amount of knowledge, certain amount of experience, a certain interest to share that with other people and be able to help people. And because all founders come from very diverse uh, experiences and background, right? So if they could all help each other, it would make everybody's life easier. That was a kind of a insight which came to our mind, and we started to try it out. We started a Google mailing list because those were the days there was no WhatsApp, right? So that mailing list, and somehow the name which came to us was the gang, right? So we said it will be the
Hmm.
Morpheus gang. So that's how we started gang at the morpheus.com. This was late 2008, and in the beginning we had to nudge people a little bit. When they used to write to us to ask something, that why don't you ask the group? And sometimes we also nudged some other people to answer, you know but it we had to do very minimal effort to make it work. It just took off. It looks like community was tapping into something which was maybe below the surface but very natural for founders to participate in. I mean, it's also part of the startup culture. I would say that the ecosystem is like that. But for us, that became a much more central part of Morpheus, the community building. Uh, See, because if you see, one way is to help the founder directly with your own time, right? Another way is indirectly with the community's expertise. So you basically build the community, let it grow both in quantity and quality of interactions, and then let so the help which happens is then peer to peer. So you have a new kind of a system, right? A system which helps where people help each other, and there is a centralizing team in the background which is making sure the system is existing and it's growing. So what I learned in Morpheus, 6 years of Morpheus was really community building, and it really resonated very well with my own personality and Nandini's personality. Right, we were willing to travel every month to Bombay, Bangalore, and Delhi. We would meet founders back to back. We would stay with them, and then one evening bring everybody together. As a physical community to hang out with each other, get to know each other. So all of that was where we learned our basics of community building, and we discovered that we really enjoyed being part of the community and participating in, contributing in, and making it happen. Right. So that was a calling for us. So that is one part. But 2014 we had decided to shut down uh, Morpheus's accelerator program, which was directly because we experienced in from 12, 13, 14 that there was an increase in focus on fundraising, and increasing valuation in the startup ecosystem had started to happen at that time, and we noticed it very early, being in the center of it all, that founders are more and more getting focused on fundraising rather than building of a business, right? And fundraising is part of that. It's not fundraising by itself became the purpose, and that led to a lot of things which for us was not at all. We were not aligned to that thought process, right? And that was happening at a very fast scale. Almost all founders were in that sort of a race, which we didn't really relate to. So we quit the startup ecosystem. And interestingly, we quit in 2014, but in 2012, somehow myself and Nandini and our third partner Sarvajit, we all had somehow got initiated into an inner journey, where you try to understand yourself deeper, not at a surface level, and you try to understand the world also at a deeper level, and you see something else, right? So that process, somehow it came into our life very serendipitously, and there was a very strong pull we were experiencing to go towards that more, right? So that was a pull, and on the other side we were feeling a push out of the startup ecosystem because of the commercial nature of startup ecosystem. So that basically change happened. 14 we stepped out, uh, and 14 to 20 we spent exclusively our time in developing our own inner processes and inner journeys, and and trying to relate to the world through that lens, a new lens of larger consciousness, right? So there was no plan to come back and do a part two of Morpheus, right? In fact, when you go on an inner journey, you actually surrender everything, your own personality, what you should do, everything you surrender to a larger consciousness, right? And in that process, actually 2016 we started to build a new community, which was a community of people who were on the inner journey. It was called the oneness community. That community stayed on, and still alive, but it was there for 70-80 people by 2020, and many of them came from the startup background, but not but this community was not doing any work with startups. It was just working on your own self. But I guess in 6 years there came a point where there was a conversation about, can we try to integrate these two threads basically, right? One is a thread of building a startup, one is a thread of building your own self, your own consciousness. Is it possible to weave together, create a integrated system which you can call, let's say, a conscious startup or evolutionary startup, right? So that idea is what created a new community, and by now obviously WhatsApp was there. It really enables you to experiment fast with any community type of idea. So we basically created a new group for people interested in integrating, weaving together the idea of consciousness and building of startups. And I think it was about 20 people, and it was an informal side topic which we would attend to. But the thing is, and this happened 2021 early, and we are sitting, not even 3 years now, and it just really grew very fast. Like when we started, we never thought that there are too many people who are interested in this so-called of a esoteric idea of consciousness and startups. But I guess first people to come and join the community more and more were people from the ex Morpheus gang itself, right? When people figured out that we are back into the startup world, a lot of them were curious, and and then within 6 months, there was so much momentum that we knew that it was a time to go back full time, and that is when we thought of doing it full time and committing our time and also finding a name. And the name which popped in our head was Supermorpheus, because what we were seeing, that everybody we interacted with, who was part of the Morpheus community, everybody had grown a lot in their own, where they were in their life, in their own understanding and maturity and even success, right? So it was a new group, Morpheus at same time, but superlative in as compared to its past, relative to its past. So that's how the name came, and the first people to join were about 200 people from the Morpheus gang itself. And since then, we have grown to about 1,000 people today, right? Without having any intention to grow. You see, even at 20 people, see, because this time we started the community very consciously with one purpose, which the purpose was to come together and collaborate and work towards evolution of consciousness in the startup ecosystem, leading to more conscious founders building conscious companies and other conscious contributors participating in that, right? So that success which is being which comes as part of these efforts is not a success for just very few people who are the founders or investors, or early investors, who end up making multiple x's of uh, whatever money they might have put in, right? That's a very narrow definition of success, very financial definition, which is not by itself is not sufficient for to motivate us, right? We feel that there should be a much larger success which should happen at many dimensions: financial success, emotional success, consciousness success, and it should happen for many more people, right? So that was a core idea, and we never thought like honestly, we didn't care how many people will come. We wanted to keep the community and the intent very pure, right? And in a way, we wanted to stay outside any mainstream, knowledge of people, basically, right? So we said, let people discover whoever wanted to discover us, right? So all the members of the community, uh, beyond 200 are all organic members, because they are referred by somebody else who is already part of the community and feels a certain vibration and a connection, and then they see somebody else in their circle. They have a genuine feeling that these two things should meet. This person should be part of the community, right? So one is that all our members are referred by an existing member. Second is that when people refer a new member, we always spend time to have a conversation. So we have a 6-7 people core team at Supermorpheus. So every new referral, we set up a time, we spend 1 hour or more if required to talk to them, where we spend time with a genuine openness and interest to listen to their story and their journey, and try to really identify who is this person, what really motivates them in life, what are they trying to really go towards, and share openly about our own journeys and Supermorpheus journey and an intent, and try to sense if there is a match between the two, right? So, and this sensing, of course, we also do, and the person also does, right? And many times it becomes obvious through the conversation that this person is of that species, belongs to the Supermorpheus community. Many times it becomes, it's not very obvious, so then we skip inviting them, right? So there is no intent here to grow the number or the influence, or attain anything of like that. The only intent is to be clear and pure about the purpose of the community, right? So I would say there are two things which stand out about Supermorpheus. One is the true community spirit, in which a very large number of people are genuinely available to help each other, right? Without thinking too much about what will I get out of this. That mindset is low in Supermorpheus. So people are available to help, at first opportunity, and at the same time they are also available to ask. So it's a system in which you are participating in terms of exchanging your energies. So there is no inhibition over this. So there's a lot of trust, love, and care. Second part is this whole aspect of a deeper evolution of our own selves, right? That's a deeper purpose of Supermorpheus, and we don't expect all members to right away jump into a deeper inner journey, but we do look at that. So basically, currently I would say about 1,000 out of the 1,000 member, at least 100 of them are also very consciously on an inner journey, where they are working on themselves to grow themselves. And our community is not just startup founders, right? So Morpheus was only a founder community. This is an open community where all sorts of people who contribute to startup ecosystem, founders, investors, designers, lawyers, operators, a lot of different people come together to make their contribution. So all of them are part of the Supermorpheus
Mm.
community right now, and everybody is learning and growing together. See, we from our side, we always feel there are opportunities and there are ways to make the community more cohesive and better, which is also a thing to keep working toward. But at the same time, when we look at the community, the way it already has a lot of love and care, and exchange of information and a lot of stuff going on, basically. So it's a joy to be part of it. I mean, we do it because we love being part of, belonging to this community. Even though we had to build it in the beginning, but today I would say the community is really built and run by the community itself. There is, there are
Exactly.
few